Hi, Mark from Sharkbait here. Today I wanted to introduce some of the ICast introductions from Penn, pure fishing tackle. The Penn folks had been on a bit of a roll. They were asleep at the wheel for a number of years. And then we started seeing some resurgence once that firm sold about, I guess it's about 8 years ago now, to pure fishing. And they made incremental changes within their line until about 2 years ago when they introduced the new torque Leverdrag 2-speeds. Those pieces addressed a lot of the concerns and a lot of the hopes that anglers have had for Penn reels. Penn had been such a dominant player, and they were chasing the wrong folks from a competitive standpoint. They weren't really looking at what Avid had accomplished with respect to the lever drags and having better free spool performance, higher drag capability. You might say they were following a bike maker that was kind of not necessarily in step with what a lot of the anglers on the West Coast at least were looking for. And increasingly I'd say the same on the guys on the East Coast. More of us are trying to fish smaller gear with higher drag capability, better free spool performance, better overall construction capabilities than what had been offered from Penn in past years. So with the intro of the torque Leverdrag 2-speeds, which really did hit the nail on the head, and they didn't bring them to market until after they had done extensive testing, Penn expanded upon that base. Those torques, for those of you who had experienced them, wonderful pieces. The free spool performance is exceptional. They'll spin like tops for a long time. They took care of the drainage issues and the ability of flushing the reels out with fresh water, getting the bearings to live a longer life. Penn really did a wonderful job with these pieces, and a lot of guys that are well respected within the sport fishing community and the industry, Cal Sheets, for instance, will refer to these as being some of the best 2-speed reels ever designed. And they have it wired from a drag standpoint, casting standpoint, overall construction, size of the gears, the construction materials. But Penn was lacking in a lot of the less expensive pieces. They addressed their spinning reels with an exceptional series of reels, the Spinfisher V's or 5s. Those excellent pieces and have been very well received. They came out with those a couple of years ago. They enhanced and improved and came out with the new Squall series of reels, the Fathom Star Drag reels. All those pieces just hit the nails on the head with what we were looking for, but they were lacking in one specific area, which would be the smaller, medium to smaller size lever drags that we've grown to really enjoy. Lever drags that still offer great casting capability and improved free spool performance. That was addressed at ICast 2014 in spades. They introed single speed versions, 2-speed versions. They also did an update to the very popular Battle series of spinning reels. I'll show you those in a moment too and explain what's changed. It's now October. I won't spend a lot of time on the old stuff from Penn or the new old stuff. Instead, we'll look at what they introduced at ICast. First among those, we've had a long love affair with a reel called the Baja Special, which is based on basically a narrowed 4.0 or 113 series Penn. The Baja Specials were made here in the States. They never took those overseas like they did for the SENTATORs. And the Baja Specials, there was a point Penn tried to discontinue them because the guys on the East Coast hadn't discovered them. We gobbled up everything that Penn had. This is, maybe 7-8 years ago. Brought in close to 500 pieces. And through that and some promotional efforts that we offered them at a great price, the guys on the East Coast got turned on to them. And then Penn had interest that wasn't just localized based with what we called a yellowtail special out here, which was a narrow 4.0, which we've been hot rodding with accurate frames or Tiburon frames and higher speed gears and all that sort of stuff. The Baja Special has gone away, very sad to say. But what Penn did was to come out with something that is I think even neater. Penn introduced at ICast the new U.S. built special SENTATORs. And these pieces, this is, well, let's start with what a 113 is. This is the 113. And as you can see, cosmetically, the reels have changed. They've dressed them up. They're not black. It's a nice, fancy aluminum spool. Still, they produce a ton of drag. Just literally a ton. And by a ton of drag, I mean up to 27 pounds of drag. Now, these use, of course, the HTs. You can change the way the stack is done. You can soften that drag curve if that's what you want to do. But these are metal-bodied, made in the USA, proudly stamped in that respect. This is your 113, and this is the 113 narrow. So you can see relative width difference, and that's basically what the Yellowtail Special is, or the Baja Special, is simply a narrowed 113. Most guys opt to put either 60 to 80 pound braid on these guys. They have the line rings that Penn has incorporated on some of their other reels, which helps you know how much braid you've got on there or what your line capacity is, so it's repeatable. Great free spool performance, up to 27 pounds worth of drag. Metal star, you can hammer the star down and get a ton of drag, and that's one of the advantages of a star drag reel versus a lever drag. Typically, as you increase the drag pressure on a lever drag reel, you're putting more of a side load on it, and you're going to crunch or cause problems with the bearing. So there's a certain max point where you have good free spool performance on a lever drag, and beyond which that's reduced. With a star, that isn't the issue. So a lot of guys that are doing some bottom fishing, casting, these things excel at, and wonderful that they are made here in the States instead of overseas. Same with respect to the Torque series. These are made in the States, not overseas. Penn's Torque spinning reels made here in the States, not overseas. Basically, as that price point goes up, the capability of producing here exists, and so that's what Penn's done. The last piece within this U.S. SENTATOR form, which I'm not showing you yet because we're still waiting for those to come in, is a 113 wide. Now, that simply offers greater line capacity. For a lot of anglers, that may, the Baja Special is where we're going to go here on the West Coast. But we have a lot of clients in Hawaii that had been, that had loved their old mule reels, the bigger 400 series, but more specific, actually more towards the 500 series in the last decade on the Ulua fishermen, given the increased drag pressure. The 113 wide is, I believe, going to be really the Ulua guys' reel. They need the extra line capacity. They're either kayaking or casting or moving the line out one way or another quite a ways from shore. They're typically fishing these big fish from the shore. Having a high drag capability is a plus. And these U.S. built SENTATORs will offer more drag than the mules did, and they'll be a much more robust reel in terms of the construction. For the Ulua guys, your options are, in my estimation, the 113 wide U.S. built SENTATORs, or the Abbott HX series. Often as not, those guys are doing those in a single speed form rather than a two-speed form. Although the two-speed sure does have the merit and is worth the extra money with respect to the Abbotts. But this is about Penn, not about Abbott. Next up on the reels from Penn, let's go to the Fathom Leverdrags. Now, these guys are available in a range of sizes. This is a little 15. They go up to a 60 size, but really the 40s are where I think the vast majority of people would be operating within the single speed. On the 40 size, you've got a couple of different options here. There's the standard gear ratio, which would be this model, and then you have a high speed, and the high speed is real fast. In terms of line retrieve, on the standard gearing, you're at around 46 inches per crank. When you're up on this guy, you're doing 60 inches per crank. It's a lot of retrieving, and you have a gear ratio that's about 7 to 1. Fast, real fast. Specialized application. The guys doing sails will like this. The guys doing kingfish in the Gulf and the southeast of the country, they're going to like that piece an awful lot, given the high gearing, a little softer drag curve. Now, Penn is doing some things a little differently with respect to the lever. With the Fathom series, Penn does things a little bit differently than other manufacturers. On our lever, you do have a strike position, which is clearly marked here. Now, that position does not have a detent, although you can feel the stiffness kind of slow that lever down, so she wants to lock in. And then you have a full position. Now, beyond full, you press a button and you go to what's called sunset. What's sunset? That means if I'm not going to turn this sucker, I'm not going to catch it, very simply. So I'm either going to turn its head and get it coming my way, or I'm going to bust off. But I'm running out of line capacity, or I know I've got obstructions down there. I'm going to get rocked. I need to turn it. And so that's the point of that sunset. It's a last resort, if you will. Free spool performance off these guys, and I probably should have marked the spools to show. Free spool performance is exceptional. They do spin very, very, very well. Penn handled that. In terms of drag performance, that you've got one piece in the line that's a little bit less than the others. On the little 15, your strike drag, where you still have optimized free spool performance, is 13 pounds of drag. That makes it real consistent with running, say, 30-pound line at 13 pounds of drag or a little greater. Similar in size to an Abbott SX, maybe a little bit wider. The Abbotts will do about 10 pounds of drag at strike. The Penns will do more, and then they'll bump up at full to, what are we looking at? About 16 pounds of drag. Checking my notes. They'll go up to 16 pounds of drag, and they'll button down at sunset pretty doggone close to 20. So that's not bad on a small reel of this size. Very realistic in terms of what's going to go on it. When you move up, you'll go, instead of 13 pounds, you'll go up to 23 pounds of drag. And then at full, you'll be in the upper 20s. And then at sunset, you'll be approaching 40 pounds of drag on these reels. So drag is absolutely there. Free spool is absolutely there. Construction quality is also there. Penn listened, just like a video I did a number of years ago showing the Machaira series of reels with the amount of drainage ports they have in the frame of the reels. I think Penn was listening to that as well, and watched what the Okuma guys did with the Machairas. Instead of having a single port on the Penns, we have a number of ports. There is a large port here on the gear case, and I need to note the size of the gears on these guys are big, and that's a good thing. That does give you a little more power when it comes to turning a fish. So we have a large port here, which probably the camera doesn't show very, very well. I think if I move in, maybe you get a little better view of that. Not much, but a little bit. But you can see that's large, and that's great. But we also have ports on the frame itself. There's one here, and then we have two here. What's the benefit with that? When the reel is sitting down, we're able to flush. When it's on a rod on the rack, same story. We have flushing going on. So if you're misting or spraying down a reel, we're able to get out the garbage, get out the salts, and it's going to dry more easily because we have airflow. And that's, it's a small thing, but doggone it, it's a big thing when you own a reel for a long time. Some manufacturers haven't addressed that. And I think it makes a big difference. Maybe others don't, but I sure do. When you buy a piece of gear, you want it to last a long time, and you don't have to deal with replacing bearings that have gotten corroded. So a manufacturer can fix that by, one, using better quality bearings, and number two, having the thing built in such a way that it's easy to flush out the salt water. You're going to get salt in a reel. Now, the single speed lever drags, dandy pieces. Again, we have a high speed specialty piece with over 60 inches per crank, versus say 40 to 38, something like that on the smaller pieces within the line. When we go to the 2-speed pieces, my gosh, again, Penn did their homework. The gearing is fast on the high, close to 6 to 1. But then we drop down to a low that's real useful, where we're getting 3 to 1 and below. The smallest of the 2-speeds has a high of about 6 to 1. But the majority of the pieces within that line, the high speed is 5.5 to 1. Very nice gearing. And then they drop down into that area 3 to 1, actually, or less, getting down into the 2s. That's solid territory to be in terms of turning a fish's head and keeping the pressure on it, keeping it coming your way. Big benefit there. Again, we have the same benefits in terms of the porting on the pieces. Very realistically priced, around $3 for the 2 speeds, a little over 2 on the single speeds. So aggressively priced, well made. These are all cast aluminum pieces versus the machined that we get when we go to the torqued. The cast pieces, well designed. No negatives that way. The anodizing is top notch. Drag performance is there. Handle cranks are long. And as far as sizes go, this is a little 25 narrow, and this is a 40. For fellow fishing, on the party boats or long range style fishing, these 2 reels are going to cover an awful lot of territory for you. They'll cast well enough for wahoo, and I can see this 40 being great for fishing, anywhere from 40 to 60 pound line, for instance. And the little 25 narrow is a dandy piece for working 30 and 40 on, in terms of size, line capacity. I think most guys will be putting on 50-pound braid here and then topping with 30 or 40. When you get to the 40 size, most guys are going to probably put 60 on here and fish the piece 40 and 50. That would be my thinking. They make a larger one, which would be the 60 size. Again, a bigger piece. This does have a crossbar on it, which we kind of shy away from locally. But the benefit here is increased line capacity. For somebody trying to work 60, let's say, 50 to even 80 maybe, this is a fine place to be. This is not a composite frame. This is metal, so it'll handle higher drag loads quite well. And with a max drag at sunset of 40 pounds, you can fish them pretty doggone hard. And again, the free spool is darn good. They spin like tops. You can give it a slow spin, and it'll just kind of go back and forth at the very, very end, which tells you the bearings are doing their job very well. They'll spin a long distance as well. All of the Fathom reels, the 2 speeds, are the single speeds on the Leverdrags. All of those are 5 bearing reels, which is an adequate number to get the job done. Pretty straight ahead when you take them apart to lubricate or service. Nothing too unusual there. Again, I wanted to stress and mention the size of the gears that are offered. This is the little 15. These are big gears on these reels. They're not small, and that gives you some power. The other pieces that Penn introduced at ICast, and basically the ones that won Best of Show Saltwater Reels for Penn, are the Battle 2s. The Battles were very popular, and frankly, I was surprised to see Penn change them. Aggressively priced, they're around $100, $120, 99, that type of stuff. They incorporate some things that we see in Penn reels, in the previous series of Battles, with they have basically a grip on the spool itself. They're made to handle braid. You've got the line rings on the spool, so you know where you're at. Repeatable as far as your reel filling, so okay, I've got a third of my capacity gone, I've got 2/3 to go, that sort of thing. They're a metal bodied reel, cast, again, so for increased strength and rigidity. They are relatively light in weight, given their construction materials. Main thing that Penn did here, still are using HT 100 drags, but the main thing they did was to have those drags eared, so basically you're getting the benefit of both surface areas of the drag to increase that drag performance. Drag capacity went up anywhere from probably 20% to 30%, model to model. Maybe in some cases a tad more. The specs will show you that one in the text within sharkbait.com. We'll go over the numbers and specific details because my mind is somewhat feeble and it's early in the morning and I don't remember. But the drag is absolutely there. The performance is there. When you move from the battles to the next series that I'll recommend would be the spin fishers, which we won't go into, you pick up the sealed drag system, which is a plus. But the battles offer a great deal of bang for the buck. You can use them and abuse them. In the old series, people did that, and they performed very, very well. That's what we anticipate with the Battle 2s, except you have increased drag performance. Now, bearings, I believe, are also better. These are shielded bearings that are being used, or sealed bearings that are being used. So they should deal with the salt water and the corrosive effects much better. So that's our lineup of new pieces that were introduced at ICast for 2014. These will be the 2015 models. No changes on the torque spinning reels. No changes on the Fathom single speeds. The Squall series of reels, including the 16 and the 30 and the 50 big Leverdrags, those stay in the line. No changes there. They've been home runs in terms of what they offer for the amount of dollars invested by an angler. The Fathom level winds have not changed. Same with the Squall series and the level wind reels. Penn's come to market in a big way. For 2015, I think they're looking the best we've seen from Penn in probably 15 years. And the Baja Specials are gone, but they're back in a much better form as well. So that's it for Penn, and that's it for Mark from Sharkbait. Thank you for watching the video. We'll be back up with some of the other new gear that we want to introduce to you, like the United composite rods that are sitting behind me. So we have a couple more little videos to do before this year ends. It's October in Southern California. In fact, it's mid-October. And I got to say this, while I'm still on it, maybe, this is the best fishing we've seen here in California for over 30 years. Just out front, one of the guys here received some images from one of our clients showing a half dozen wahoo under a kelp patty between here and Catalina Island. Spotter plane, shot images of wahoo that were stacked up at the outside oil rigs 8 miles off Huntington Beach. I don't think I've ever seen wahoo out here in local waters. We've come off our best bluefin and yellowfin fishing that we've had in my memory, so at least 30 years worth of time. Just amazing fishing. We caught a triple tail down here, and then picked up, God, what was it, a 400-pound blue that came by. One of the guys got fishing out towards the islands. So, darn good fishing, and it's mid-October, and we still have water temp that's darn close to 70, upper 60s. And we got a cat in the store. Okay, that's it for me. I'm done. I'll be back with you later on. Thank you for watching. And, congratulations to Penn. They've got some good stuff going forward. Bye-bye.